This program is brought to you by Stanford University.
I'm Patty Gumport. I'm the Vice Provost for Graduate Education, and I'd like to welcome you to this inaugural event in VPGE's Leadership Program. This is the first in a series of talks with recognized leaders from several arenas, and our speakers will reflect on their experiences as leaders and offer insights about leading in the world today. We hope these talks will inspire you as you prepare for the challenges ahead. Today, I'm especially pleased that we're launching this series with President Hennessy. In addition to having a most impressive career, he has demonstrated extraordinary support and, dare I say, exceptional leadership in graduate education and advanced study here at Stanford. A few years ago, President Hennessy galvanized the university by convening a commission on graduate education. He charged it to set our course for the future in light of new roles and responsibilities of our graduates. It was his vision that helped us conceive of this stage of your professional development as a critical period of transformation. It's a time when we have a unique opportunity to accelerate and expand your skills, your creativity, and your passion so that you can be more effective and even more bold as you go forth to help solve the world's problems. To this end, the Commission recommended that Stanford create the office that I now lead, the VPGE. We embrace our mission by facilitating collaboration. It's essential to innovation. We're thinking big, yet we're starting small. And what defines our work in the VPGE is a simple truth. Our commitment to you is a sacred trust. And we know that you're counting on us as you wrestle with questions of who you are, what you want to accomplish, and how you want to make your mark in a world that very much needs your unique vision and capabilities. President Hennessy has provided the encouragement and crucial resources for us to launch our programs, among them the Stanford Graduate Summer Institute, the new Stanford Interdisciplinary Graduate Fellowship Program, and now this Leadership Program. So on behalf of the university community, and especially the graduate students, I want to thank you, John, for your foresight and your enthusiastic support. Please join me in thanking him. Two faculty colleagues now serve as Associate Vice Provosts in the VPGE, and they're developing initiatives in leadership and professional development. Professor Sherry Shepard from the School of Engineering and Professor John Boothroyd from the School of Medicine. In addition to this series, Sherry and John are designing workshops on management, communications, and other skill sets that are essential to effective leadership. So stay tuned for details on that and check out our website. We're so fortunate that Sherry and John are serving the university in this capacity. Now I'm going to turn it over to Sherry, and she'll introduce the president. Thank you very much.
I'm pleased and honored to be able to introduce Dr. John Hennessy. Dr. Hennessy is my boss's 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 boss. In other words, he is President Hennessy, Stanford's 10th president, and he assumed this role in 2000. President Hennessy has inspired all of us to stretch further, dream bigger, and really take on significant world problems by, as Patty was describing, some of the interdisciplinary initiatives. He also convened a commission to study graduate education, so it's one of the issues that's forefront in his mind. Before being president, Dr. Hennessy was my boss's boss's boss, in other words, the provost. And if the president is like the CEO of a company, the provost is the CFO, worrying about budget, infrastructure, and academic health. In this capacity, he helped to grow the biosciences and bioengineering collaborative efforts and worked at fostering deeper infrastructure means of those communities to get together. Before being provost, he was my boss's boss, namely Dr. Hennessy was Dean Hennessy, and a role that he held for 2 years. And in that role, he was already starting this idea of interdisciplinary work at that point between the School of Medicine and the School of Engineering. Before being dean, he was chair of computer science and was and still is a professor of electrical engineering and computer science. And somewhere amid all of those boss's roles, He founded a company called MIPS Computer Systems, which is now called MIPS Technology. And the core of MIPS is an idea called RISC, Reduced Instruction Set Computers. And it's a technology that has revolutionized the computer industry by increasing performance and reducing costs. And if that's not enough of stirring up and affecting institutions and technology, he's co-authored 2 internationally used undergraduate and graduate textbooks that have really been mainstays in education for about 20 years. He's a member of the National Academy of Engineering and the National Academy of Science. And at one point, he was a graduate student, like all of you, having gotten his PhD at the University of New York at Stony Brook. One other thing I'd like to offer about President Hennessy. Yes, he's been stirring up institutions and technology, but he's also been stirring up graduate students, if you will. And I quote from a letter offered by one of his former graduate students, Joseph Torres, who's now on the faculty at the University of Illinois. Joseph says, "Professor Hennessy has had a profound impact on my career. During my years at Stanford, working with him was a great source of joy and excitement for me, and for the other 10 to 15 PhD students who had direct interaction with him at the same time. I learned immensely from his insightful analyses of technology trends, ambitious approach to research, impeccable ethical values, and encouraging attitude. After I took a position as assistant professor at the University of Illinois, he has acted as my mentor, true role model, and continuous source of inspiration. I have tried to replicate in my own research group at Illinois all of the qualities that made John Hennessy such a superb advisor and researcher. I have tried to instill in my own students the same joy and values that Professor Hennessy instilled in me. My students are now faculty at other universities, and they are fully aware and proud of their heritage." John, I guess that means you have some academic grandchildren at least. Okay. So with that, I'm very much looking forward to the conversation with Professor and President Hennessy. The conversation will be with my colleague John Boothroyd, who, as Patty said, is one of my colleagues in the VPG office and also a professor of microbiology and immunology. With that, John.
Great. Thank you, Sherry, and thank you again, John, for yeah, and thanks for championing graduate education. It's really wonderful to see. So I'm going to pretend I'm David Letterman here, and these are going to be flying around, so you'll just have to indulge me. This is a new skill for me, or not. So it's 2009, right? Can we fast forward to 2034? And could you say what you hope graduate education will look like at Stanford then?
Well, I think many aspects of graduate education are likely to remain the same. I think we import talent from all over the United States, from all over the world. I hope that remains a vibrant aspect, and we bring in the best and brightest minds, the people who really want to make a difference, who want to learn a new field and become contributors in the world. So I hope that part of it remains the same. I really hope that we educate students who will go on to major leadership roles, who will be adept at living in the 21st century, which I think increasingly is characterized by the fact that people do not have a single fixed career during their lives, but often undergo careers which shift over time, whether they are here for a professional degree in the business school or the law school or an MS in engineering, or they're here for a PhD. I think we're going to increasingly see that people's careers shift over time, and they have to draw on different skill sets. So I think we want graduate education to reflect that view. Obviously, in 25 years, there'll be fields we don't even anticipate today. The field of bioengineering in our new department there, I think, which is now just a few years old, that's an area which certainly has been around for a while, and the discussion about making it a separate department has probably gone on for a decade. But if you go back 20 years ago or 25 years ago, it didn't really exist as a standalone field. There were a few engineers perhaps working on biological applications, but the field did not have the depth and the amount of innovation and its own fields that it was exploring as it does now. So I think we'll see changes. We'll see changes like that. I think we will see more growing demand for people who are deeply trained at the graduate level, who go in not only to academic careers, but a much larger variety of careers. I would hope that increasingly the United States has done something that I think I admire in many of the countries in Asia, which is the very best deeply educated people go into roles in government and other important roles in society. We could use more PhDs, more well-educated people in our government. I think we'd be better off than we are today. And so I'd like to see that change occur, and that we're preparing students for that kind of career as well.
So we leapt into the future. Can we leap back into the past now and just learn a little bit more about where do you come from? What was who were role models or mentors when you were a child or a teenager in school or family?
Yeah, well, I came from a mother and her father, just like most other people, I suppose. My father was an engineer who worked in the aerospace industry during the post-Sputnik years, I think. I still remember him. In those days, the rush for the U.S. to catch up was so acute that as an engineer, he would work different shifts. So I still remember him working a morning shift, a late day shift, which went from like 8 to midnight, and a shift that went from 11 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning. And that's how crazy it was in the post-Sputnik era. So he inspired me to get interested in science and engineering. I worked on, actually in high school for a science fair project,